Welcome back to another episode of Theory Premed. Theory Premed is a podcast following the journey of three premed students, Mo, Todd, and Nathan. We talk about our path and experiences as we bring in guests who will connect premeds worldwide. If you're thinking about med school or healthcare, our podcast will give you the ultimate student perspective. Also, as always, thank you to Chapman Radio for giving us the space to record today. How's everybody doing?
Amazing. I mean, we're not only recording in video, but
Yes,
we're also
sir.
recording in audio. It should have been the other way around, but yeah. So we have audio going on. We have our video going on. We're going to be doing TikTok. We're going to be doing YouTube. It's exciting.
Theory
It's a lot
Premed
of
is
fun.
growing, guys.
Yeah.
This is awesome. Hey, I mean, one step at a time, right? So we got the 360-degree camera here recording us right now.
You see me
Hopefully
here?
it works
You see
out.
Nathan?
Yes?
Oh, wait. They finally see who we are during the podcast.
Wow.
Wow.
Definitely don't know us
Wow.
already.
So,
Congrats.
well, this is our station. This is where we record. This is where I usually sit. Todd usually sits over there. Nathan sits this right here, but today he's sitting back there. It's just a little easier for the video.
For the 360-degree camera.
Let's see. Yeah.
I mean, it looks decent. I would say, you know, it's going to work for now. The glare's a little bad, but I think,
We'll figure it
it'll
out.
work. At least for clips for TikTok, so it'll work.
It'll work.
Better than nothing, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At least, you know, Chapman Radio's giving us some video, so that's
Yeah.
nice.
So how are we doing? I'm tired.
Me too. Me too. Very,
You
very
too?
tired.
You
Yeah,
too?
that's already a demonstration of how tired I am.
It's okay. We gotta be pumped. We gotta get excited.
I feel lost.
Hyped.
I feel lost.
Honestly,
Oh
me
my
too. a
God.
little
I don't
bit.
know why.
Oh my God!
This-
You guys are bringing it
No,
down.
no,
You
no,
gotta
no,
bring
no,
it
no.
down.
There's a reason I feel lost, though. It's
Feel
because
lost.
typically, like for the past 3 weeks, there's been something to do every single day, like so much stuff where I've had to like stay up till like 2 a.m. But yesterday night,
too.
I like sat there and I was like, oh, I could actually like work on like cope stuff and not have to like be stressed about homework. I
Really?
don't know if it's just like a lot of my like at the beginning of the semester you have a lot of meetings and things, and now it's starting to die down a little bit. So I have a little bit more time, and then like now during the day I'm able to do homework and stuff between classes instead of like attending meetings.
Yeah, that's
So
true.
it's been nice. And like today I was like, oh my God, it's Friday. I don't have to worry about like doing extra stuff. Like I could actually just chill out, and I'm excited. I'm going to like dinner because
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm
Whoa.
going to dinner because my stepbrother's girlfriend just graduated from nursing school.
Let's
So
go.
we're having like,
Wow.
an exciting
Congrats.
family thing. So
Where?
it's exciting. Huh?
Where?
I have no clue what school it is, to be honest. But
No, no,
Or what
where-
dinner?
oh
Yeah.
no, they're bringing food over to their house.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Like
cool.
a family type thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, similar to you. I've stayed up like to 2 a.m. almost every day this week. I
Is
don't know.
2 like the magic number? Because I haven't been staying up that late.
That's
too.
Yeah, no,
funny.
me too. Me too.
Like I don't know. I guess this is the magic number because it's not like we plan or coordinate to
Yeah.
stay up that late.
3 is like, wow, you're really losing sleep. And then 1 is like, I could stay up another hour. So I guess it is the magic number.
Well, it also depends what time we wake up. Like a lot of us, like I think we all on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays we have to wake up at 9.
Yeah.
So if we sleep at 2, we still get like
No. Yeah.
6
but
hours because you have
6
to wake
hours
up like, at 8.
is good.
What Nathan was saying though, that makes sense. Where it's like 1 is like, oh, I can stay up another hour. But
Yeah.
then if you're at 2 and you're like,
Yeah,
I don't
it's
want to stay up
too
another
right.
hour till
morning.
3. So
Fair
good
enough.
point.
Yeah. I would say so. I it's just mostly just because like I'd put off so much stuff until after the biochem test, and then it
Yeah.
all caught
Yeah,
up
yeah,
to
yeah.
me right at the end. So
Speaking of biochem, we have to start on our lab report because that's gonna be a long lab
Yeah.
report.
yeah,
3 weeks to write like a.
3 weeks.
It's gonna be like 20 pages at least.
Easily.
really for the next one?
Yeah, because
Yeah, because it's two
it's two
parts.
parts,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's 2 parts.
and then it's also like more page limit too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the first one wasn't so bad though. I
Yeah.
think it was okay.
All right. Well,
Speak for yourself, Nathan.
yeah. Let's not think about that anymore.
Yeah,
let's,
it's Friday.
Let's do something more fun.
it was bad for you guys.
Yeah. So I had a hypothetical written out for all of us that I
Cool.
think was fun, and basically, okay, would you rather have a tree in your back garden that constantly produces every fruit in the world, and it's the best quality and the best condition,
That's pretty cool.
or would you rather have a trained dinosaur of your choice to like ride to work or whatever you do? I think I know. I
you
feel
know,
like Mo's gonna pick that dinosaur.
I mean, like, there's no question.
I
to that.
100% also
yeah,
would pick
it's
the
like,
dinosaur.
like, why would
Really?
you not?
yes.
Honestly, I'd pick the fruit tree.
Why?
Yeah, it's a better. I guess it's like
Because,
the objectively better.
Like any,
position.
well, I mean, a dinosaur. I mean,
Dinosaur's
is
great,
cool.
but like tree is like that will produce anything. It produces anything.
Any
right?
fruit.
Well, any fruit.
Any fruit.
But it's like
And
the
unlimited
best quality.
amounts, the best quality, best condition. Like
Yeah, like-
that's
But the
really
thing is,
good.
I feel like
I
with-
would pick the
with,
dinosaur
with
though.
taste, it's like an exponential curve and it flattens out eventually. So like at a certain point, that like a really good fruit is gonna be like right here, and it's like on par with like something still pretty good. So there's really there's no point because you could buy the fruit from anywhere, but you can't have it.
But it's not the
You're
best
the only
quality.
person
Not
to
the
have a
best quality.
dinosaur. You're the only person to have a dinosaur.
Yeah, but imagine all the apple pies that you
I'll
can
come
make.
over your
They're
house, bro.
That's
I'll come over your
amazing.
house, get some fruits from you.
Yeah.
But like, there's only one dinosaur.
Well, also you
It's
could
mine.
sell the fruit like for like a large amount of money because it's like the best fruit in the world. So you could be rich based on the tree.
Yeah, you can't sell a dinosaur unless you. I mean,
you
you
could.
lose out on it.
I guess you could sell the dinosaur, but it
could.
would be
it
it
would
would
be sad.
defeat the
But
purpose.
you could get money in so many different ways, but you can't get a dinosaur just like,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Well, but
I-
for me,
it's literally the only
Yeah.
one. The only one.
No, I agree with
Nothing
you
gets close to it.
100%.
I
I
don't
agree
know.
with you. I just
Just-
see the other side as well.
for me, it's like just a really, really good fruit, like the best fruit. Like I haven't even had like the best quality of fruits ever, but I have some like I've had some really, really good fruits. I feel like if I could just go outside, pick one off, cut it up, and eat it like whenever I wanted, I feel like it would be amazing. And if I could just choose whatever it wanted to be too.
Fruit's delicious.
Have
I
you
don't
guys
know.
heard of the new fruit that's like on TikTok where, you know what I'm
I
talking
have
about? So it tastes
it-
like a banana, mango, pineapple, strawberry, like all in one. But the thing
What?
is, I think for like a pound, it's like
How did-
$120. It's genetically mutated. That's how they do it.
But how do they know what it tastes? Like, how can they distinctly grab like all four of those tastes? I feel like there has to be like some sort of overlap. Or, I don't know, whatever.
Anyways, but literally, like, you have to buy it, and then it takes a week for you to be able to eat the entire thing because it ripens in parts.
That's weird.
So when the first part scales fall off, then you could eat that part. But if you force the scales off and you eat that part, it will burn your throat like severely.
Yeah,
I
there's
think I
some
think
really
I know what
weird
you're
stuff
talking
like
about. Is it a long fruit?
Yeah, and it's like greenish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may have seen something like that before, but there's some really weird fruits where like you can't eat certain parts of it, and like it's really poisonous. But then in the center, it's like really fruity and delicious.
I don't know. I kind of want to buy it. We should buy it and then try to eat the part that's not like ready and see what
Yeah.
really happens.
Yeah.
Rambutan?
I'm trying to, no, I don't know if this is it.
No.
I don't know. Whatever. That
It's an
sounds cool.
exotic
I think
fruit.
I've seen it though.
It was all over
Interesting.
TikTok for like a week.
I saw a TikTok of, like how chocolate is
Oh.
made with like the cocoa bean fruit. It's really interesting. Like you just crack it open and
Bueno
you
bars
can
is
just
where
like
it's at.
eat the fruit directly and taste like chocolate.
Anyways, we're getting a little off track, but I think so. Dinosaur, right, Nathan?
100%,
Yeah.
dude.
I'd pick the fruit.
The fruit. I'm going dinosaur.
Dinosaurs are so cool. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of dinosaur though? What would you have? T-Rex,
No,
Velociraptor,
I'd have the one that flies.
the fly? Oh,
Yeah,
pterodactyl.
bro. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that what you're learning in DNA to Dinos, bro?
No, it's not what I'm learning. We haven't even gotten to dinosaurs at all.
Yeah, he's still at DNA.
I honestly, I don't think we will. Like the way Dr. Shu talks about it is like, oh yeah,
It's the
you know,
last day of lecture.
the dinosaur part is like more of like a joke. It's just about evolution. Like that's all it is.
That's just his way of like luring people. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Well, no, it's still a fun class. Like I actually really enjoy it. And we might talk about dinosaurs like really later on in the semester, but right now it's just about evolution and like some like common misconceptions with like gene flow, genetic drift, and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Is what we're doing. Like mostly 205 stuff. Just mostly 205 review stuff, but it's still a fun class. But yes, I would pick the dinosaur. I think dinosaurs are awesome. It reminds me of like having my own Pokemon. I don't know why.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Dude,
because
you
a
can
lot of
you're gonna fight other people.
No,
Yeah.
it could be
Like-
my Elytra, bro. It could be my Elytra.
for Minecraft.
Okay.
No, I would just love to have like a Charizard, dude.
Yeah.
That would be insane.
Well, so this week we're gonna talk about really sort of what I'm kind of calling like the realities of being a pre-med. Which
It's terrible. Don't.
no, it's not. It's not too bad. But we'll, I guess, just to introduce the topic though, like, just I guess thinking about it, we've all had times, you know, when we're like, at least one time when we first started, we were like, oh, you know, I'm pre-med, I'm so cool. Like, I'm gonna be a doctor one day, hopefully. I'm gonna like, you know, do all these things. I'm such a good person. You know, I had that thought, right? And it kind of comes with like being pre-med. And there's also like this connotation, or it's like a defining trait of someone when they're like, oh yeah, I'm pre-med. Even if you're just like introducing it to someone, you're like, at least for
It
us,
really is.
we know. We're like, oh yeah, okay, so
Like
we know what
you don't just say your major in college. You say I'm biology pre-med major. Like you say that, you know.
kind of. Yeah.
I've been trying to stay away from like saying I'm pre-med all the time and saying more like bio.
Yeah.
I don't know, because
Really?
I feel like everyone's like I'm pre-med, and then like right when you say I'm pre-med, everyone
yeah,
just has
forms
that, like,
an opinion.
Yeah, on you, like
Yeah.
oh, this kid like has no life and like stuff like that. But
Yeah, I
like, I
guess.
still do things outside of school. So I don't know. I feel like there has to be a better way of like giving that like I'm interested in medicine, without like.
Yeah, I think the problem just
Mhm.
lies in the fact that there's so many different people that want it, that or who are pre-med, right? So it's like there's just such a kind of broad like it's like a broad definition, and it's not really like too specific. I don't know, but I kind of do the same thing where I don't really say like, oh, I'm pre-med unless someone like asks me, or unless we start talking about like hospital volunteering or like whatever stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's just like when somebody asks you like what you're doing in college, like what you want to do as a career, right? You start talking about pre-med and instead of like biology in general. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I would say try not to get too much into it because people will think you just study and that's all you do.
Well, it's okay to. I think it's okay to be.
Yeah.
I mean, look at
Yeah.
us.
We're literally studying it,
We're probably
yeah.
the most into it. Like,
I
compared
agree.
to
We have a
so many
podcast
people.
all about it.
Yeah, it's. I think it's just like, you know.
But okay, so like when you're introducing yourself, like say you're pre-med, but also say some other stuff about you.
Well, I
Like,
mean, it's just
it's not your only defining characteristics. Is all I'm saying.
kind of
you know
just
what I
say what I mean. Say what you're comfortable with saying.
Yeah.
Like it's not. You know, you can say you're pre-med. You can say you're not pre-med. It doesn't really, like, you know, just do what you want. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah, I agree.
I tend to like, especially now that I'm a game dev minor, I always say like, oh, I'm a bio major, but I'm also like minoring in game dev because like I love video games. It's one of my like passions, and I'm
Yeah.
hoping to kind of connect that to medicine, which
Yeah.
I'm also interested in.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
So that's just like one way of like explore, like kind of giving out who you are, but also like
Oh,
telling
like an
them.
elevator.
I think
speech.
yeah, I think I know what it is. I think it's like when we say pre-med, or we say we're pre-med, it kind of just like we think or we feel like it kind of narrows down what someone would think about us. Like, oh, like okay, like you go to, like you do these things, or like they kind of like know like, oh, you probably do these things, but then it's like we feel like we're more than that. We feel like, you know, you're a game dev minor. For me, I tell people before I'm pre-med, I would say like, oh, I'm a neuroscience minor. Like I'm interested in the brain. I do, you know, all these things before I say that I'm pre-med.
Yeah.
So it's like I like to talk about the things that I'm actually interested in, maybe because I think that it gives people a better idea of who I am, maybe rather than just saying I'm pre-med up front.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know. Maybe up to interpretation a little bit.
I think it also
So-
depends on like the school or the environment you're in too, because like I feel like if you're at a family gathering with family, like yes, I think it's
Yeah.
okay to say like pre-med because like they're not gonna be like, oh my god, this guy is like only studying, like they don't care about that. And they're like, oh, like that's cool, like I'm looking forward to seeing you as a doctor or something, you know.
Yeah.
But like when you're around like a big group of people, like especially students who in like your major, that's where I think it kind of like, I don't know, you feel like isolated when you say pre-med.
Yeah.
In a way.
I don't know. For me, I just remember like when I was like a junior in high school, and when I first like started like, I guess considering myself a pre-med, I was like, oh man, you know, I gotta focus. I gotta focus on this one goal, like all the way until I get into med school. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. Blah blah blah. Like, and I just remember, I was just like super focused. And I kind of just, I don't know, like saying I was pre-med was like sort of this like thing, but I don't know. Maybe sometimes it's also like we romanticize a little bit.
Oh, can you imagine?
You have to. I feel like you need to. Like,
Yeah, that's
to
true.
some
it's hard
extent.
not to.
Yeah.
I don't know, Todd. Like, Mo, can you imagine being a junior in high school already like telling people you're pre-med? Like, I can't imagine
Yeah,
that
I
for
didn't-
myself.
No, I
That's
didn't
like-
go around and tell
like,
people I was pre-med.
I know you did.
My name
but
is
like,
Todd.
like-
I'm future pre-med, man.
It's like, have you ever seen that
But
one?
you considered it yourself.
I
like, in
consider.
your
I
own
didn't like.
mind.
No, I didn't introduce myself like that. But I considered. I mean, you know, I mean, I decided back early on. So
My name is
Yeah.
Todd Premed too.
yeah, but it's like that. No, it's like that one video on YouTube where it's like that little kid. He's like, "You're talking to a future like U.S.
Oh, yeah,
like
right.
soldier or whatever."
Oh, yeah.
and you go, little kid. Yeah.
That was the best video. Oh my
And then I
gosh.
like, oh my god, that was.
Yeah, I
funny.
remember that one.
I was not like that, but yeah.
I don't know. When you guys are going every day and like your goal is to like kind of like be a successful quote unquote pre-med, right? To accomplish your dreams of becoming a doctor. What are some things that you think differentiate a pre-med from the average like or the typical biology major or like just STEM major in general? I feel like different like career goals have different pressures. Like for example, if you're interested in research, you need to put in a lot of research hours, right? And that mentality could be completely different than someone who's trying to go into medicine, who's kind of more focused on like clinical experiences, but they still have to balance that research and kind of like just well-rounded kind of resume that you're trying to build.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like the way I've always thought about it is like what you said about research. It's like if you want to get a PhD, you're spending most of your time in the lab doing research. If you want to, I guess like do maybe like PA, like you spend most of your time doing like clinical things, like clinical work to get those hours so that you can apply. But I feel like when you're pre-med, it's like and maybe it's not just limited to being pre-med, but it's like you have to be a jack of all trades in a way. And that's kind of the way that I've always considered it. It's like you got to do research. You got to be good at research. You got to do school. You got to be good at school. You got to do hospital volunteering. You got to be good at hospital volunteering. You have to be a leader. You also have to be good at being a leader. It's like you have to be a jack of all trades in a way.
Yeah.
But for me, in a way, I feel like it's helped because when you're, like when I'm advising students, it's like, well, I've done a lot of these different things. So whatever their career goal is, like I'll be able to help push them in the right direction. And I feel like that's helpful, but I feel like, we got to be jacks of all trades.
I definitely agree with that. Like branching out into different areas, like of the biology major, really helps you be able to like mentor younger students, like freshmen. And just today, like my experience with tutoring and SI, like helped me, like kind of show a new tutor how to kind of conduct their business, where to go, and it's just interesting, like we're involved in so many things. We can kind of branch out to so many things, and being a pre-med is why. So,
no, and like just going back to what you were talking about, Todd, it really gives you so many tools to use, and I think it's not just being applied in kind of like school, right? But you could also use it for the outside world, and I think that's one thing that like just being a pre-med or on the pre-med route has helped me like personally in my life, because like coming into college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do specifically. I had the idea of kind of like doing like becoming a doctor, but I also was thinking about computer science, and all these different things. But just kind of like looking at it now, it's like when I go out in the real world, I'm able to like talk about research, talk about like different courses I'm taking. And it's really just helped me like learn a lot of things that I don't think I would have learned if I was like very like specific on, for example, on a specific specialty in computer science, or maybe a specific research that I was trying to focus on. And I think for example, I know you were saying like you need to have leadership, communication skills, all those things. That helps you build confidence. And I think just going into the world, you need to have that confidence. And it's hard to get that confidence if you don't have these things constantly challenging you. So it is a demanding kind of like path that you're taking, but you're gaining so much out of it, especially when you're embracing all those different like factors that you need to kind of like touch. And
yeah. And so going off of that, the workload, right, is a main difference in between pre-meds and non-pre-med. Like biology majors or other people going to healthcare, right? The workload is really a defining trait of being pre-med.
Well, in a sense, I agree, but at the same time, I disagree in a way. And the reason for that is because like a lot of us are taking the same courses, right? And I mean, if you want to like touch up on it too, feel free to like jump in. But I feel like what makes being a pre-med kind of difficult is all the things outside of school that you have to do, right? Like we're not constantly in the lab. Yeah. But as let's say you're going like the PhD route, you do need to be in the lab those extra 6 hours a day or something like that. I'm not sure exactly how long they go, but you need to build those writing skills to like write proposals. You need to be able to communicate science very, very well, especially when you go to those conferences.
100%.
And they obviously get a lot more practice in that than us, who might go to like a conference or two a semester, while they're going to like 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, constantly going for grants. Like I know one of my friends, Ben, he was writing an NSF grant for his graduate school. I mean, just looking at the amount of stress he's going through, I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Like that's something I'm gonna have to probably deal with when I apply for med school, but he's dealing with that right now, and he hasn't even applied to graduate school. So I think they both come with their own challenges for sure.
Yeah,
and
I
they
agree.
both teach you different things.
Yeah, I think just kind of piggybacking off of that is that, yeah, I feel like the workload is definitely a lot for us. But then I think if we kind of consider the fact that there's like a spectrum of like, like we work, I feel like we work a fair amount. I feel like we work a lot. But then like there's also other people who maybe like don't. But then it's like, I feel like it's a matter of, how kind of career driven that we are maybe, or like other people are. And the fact that I feel like if I wanted a PhD instead of, wanting to go to medical school, then I'd probably still be putting in like a ton of work.
Oh yeah.
But just not to the same activities.
Yeah, I agree.
So, I don't know.
think I'll adjust my, my previous statement to be more generally
You're not allowed
speaking.
to. Sorry.
Like generally speaking, pre-meds have a generally larger workload than other biology fields, and that's okay. But you're right. For going for a PhD, I've seen so many people like just completely overworked going for it. Like Kevin, oh my gosh,
Kevin,
that dude works so hard. He told me he gets 2 hours of sleep per night, and I believe him. That's the crazy part.
I feel like that's one thing though. Like, yeah, you might be so driven, but at the same time, like, you can't be doing that to yourself. Like, come on, like 2 hours of sleep a night. And I think that comes with a lot of the pressures too, because if you're constantly getting 2 hours of sleep, like it's just gonna build up on you, and I feel like it's hard to enjoy something when you're constantly like getting 2 hours of sleep. And like make genuine progress in it. I mean, Kevin is a monster.
He's a monster.
He does so much for his research. But
amazing.
I feel like he needs to I hate to say slow down, but he needs to like look after himself.
No, you're right for saying that. Everybody's around him is telling him to take a break. Like his professors, me, everyone.
No, I think one thing is I hate telling people to slow down, because obviously like if you're in a race or something like that, right? You're not gonna tell like your race driver like slow down.
Yeah.
Like you want them to go as fast as they can, but at the same time you want them to take care of their car and their own self, right? This is me being a Formula One fan, by the way. But I think that like if he can maintain the speed, right, and this rate that he's going through, great, right? But at the same time, I think he should look after himself and make sure that he's being healthy and actually like maintaining the relationships that he has, especially with his family and things like that, because like once he's through his PhD program, he's gonna be doing a lot more research. He's not gonna be able to go back home as often and look at his family and talk to his family, right? So I think undergrad is something where you need to take care of that and make sure that you establish that, especially in a time in your life where you're becoming an adult, right? And I'm even seeing it with my friends who are in med school. Like a lot of them are having a hard time kind of like talking to their parents often, and that's something I've kind of like put that in my life where I'm like, as an undergrad, if I see myself like when I go to med school having trouble with that, I need to make sure that I'm doing my best now to kind of like know my family, who they are, especially my little brother who's 8 and is going 10 inches like every 2 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's like a big thing as being a pre-med is maintaining those relationships.
It's a good point. I'm just going to build off of that. I met a pre-med in my leadership class, actually. His name's Jake. He's a really great guy. And he has a sister who's 15 years younger than him.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was really surprised.
She's like 3?
No, he's actually he's like 30.
Oh, okay. So he's like non-traditional.
Yeah. So he was in the military and stuff before he came to Chapman, which is really cool. I have talked to him a little bit about it. But anyway, I was really curious about like how he maintains like he told me he had a really good relationship with his sister, and she's just going off to college. And I was like, how do you do it? You're pre-med, you've been traveling, and you've been away. And he says he just like makes the most of the time that they have together. They joke. He takes her to school whenever he's at home and everything. So maintaining these relationships is really important to him, and I really respected that. So just kind of building off of what Mo said about making sure to have time for family.
Yeah. So this really segues into like our kind of theme for this episode, which is a little bit like more maybe sad, but it's like the kind of realities of being a pre-med. We talked about how being a pre-med, initially at least, it sounds really cool, and it is really cool. You know, there are a lot of things that we've done that I feel like that we're all really grateful for and that we've learned a lot from. But at the same time, you know, like how we're talking about, you know, spending time with family, maybe not having as much time for certain things, or, you know, facing sort of troubles in terms of workload. It's like there's certain realities that, you know, we have dealt with and that we, you know, continue to deal with every day. And I think that this is something that's like good to talk about, especially like in the context of being a pre-med, because like a lot of times I feel like people can be, you know, can feel isolated, especially when you're pre-med. You know, you are busy so much of the time and you spend so much of time like alone in your room, just like studying with yourself. I mean, you're by yourself, and it's just like, it can feel a little isolating at times. And I think it's good to, you know, let people know that they're not alone in struggles that they face. But on that note, I think that like one thing is, at least that I've dealt with, and we'll kind of start off with this, is just the idea of like the classic not being able to go out as much, right? Not having to sort of like just to have time for that. And I feel like one thing that I've kind of maybe thought about is the fact that it's hard to like, not hard to like make friends necessarily, but you don't really have time to spend with a lot of other people besides the people that you are like not necessarily forced to spend time with, but are just kind of predisposed to spend time with.
Like a lot of the time when we hang out, right, it's usually like whether we're volunteering and things like that. I mean, I totally agree with you, and I was thinking about this the other day because I noticed that a lot of my friends within school, I was like, well, we never hang out after, like outside of like school, which kind of sucks because like they're amazing people, and like you get to know them very well in school, right? And you kind of want to transition that out of school, and it's hard to do so because like they're doing their own thing, right? But you're constantly like trying to keep up with your courses, you're trying to keep up with all the different things you're doing. And I think a great example of that is actually just lately where one of my friends was like, hey, we're throwing a party like today actually, like stop by. And I was like, oh, I wish I could. Like I really wanted to. And actually a couple of my friends are going there, but it's just like kind of like, for example, this like podcast, right? It's something that we're doing. And I it's like an obligation to have to like do, right? But a lot of the time you just can't like free up those Friday like evenings. It's difficult. And another example of that is, for example, our first A team, right? Today I had like the family dinner, and when like Vic sent out the shift, I was like, oh, clinical hours. And like I had to really like stop myself from like reaching out and like being like, hey, I could do this shift, and kind of like putting more emphasis on family. Yeah, so I totally agree with you. Like, I definitely feel that where it's hard.
It's like, it's not that I don't like you guys or that I like don't want to be friends with anyone else, but the fact that it's just like we spend so much time, you know, doing school stuff, working on homework, where it's really hard to have other friends or to meet other people unless you're like you're there doing the same activities or anything like that.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Something that I've like tried to do this semester is sacrificing more like personal time with like relaxing, like YouTube and like playing games on my phone or whatever, and being more social during that extra time that I have, being on campus more, walking around, meeting up with friend groups, or having like small gatherings at my new apartment with like some of Gabe and I's mutual friends.
Sick invite.
Yeah.
I know, right? We haven't gotten invited yet.
You did get invited. I literally been asking you guys to come over for poker night for like the past couple weeks.
I've never heard.
It was one time. It was one time.
Come over tonight. We might be, you know, okay, you guys are busy.
Just said,
you guys are busy.
Yeah, I guess so too.
Yeah, that's what do you think, bro?
Yeah.
You guys are all busy.
This is a great example of it.
Sorry,
Yeah.
we see each other every single day.
Yeah, I know.
No, and I want to go back to something you said was where you start sacrificing kind of like your own like alone time to kind of make time for your friends outside of school.
Yeah.
And I think this is something I've kind of always thought about. I'm like, do I really want to give up my own like alone time?
Yeah.
Or do I want to go?
Yeah.
Because like all day long, especially like when you're involved in so many different things, you're constantly interacting with people, you're constantly doing things, you're always speaking and things like that. But like once you get home, like, and you do your studying and all that, you're just like so tired. Like so your social battery is just drained, and you need that alone time. And that's something I've always like needed, is where I'll go home and I'm just like, all right, I just need to chill, watch a movie, or like especially when it's like 11 o'clock at night after like just a day of just back to back to back things. Like I just need it. Like I'm sorry, I can't give it up for like hanging out with friends. It's just, I know it's gonna drain me the next day.
Yeah.
Where I'm just gonna be over everything. But I think this is a good thing where you could like relate it to being a doctor though, because you're gonna be seeing a lot of patients every single day, right? Going in, they're obviously worried about like where they're at, what their health is looking like, and you have to be able to explain these things to people that are not really proficient in the field of medicine that you're a part of, right? And I foresee that being a challenge though, especially for myself, because if I'm having to constantly kind of like talk to 30 patients a day or something like that, and like one like emphasize with them and kind of like emotionally relate to them, that's gonna drain your battery even more.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's gonna be something I'm gonna need to learn in the next couple of years, and especially during med school when I'm doing rotations and things like that. Hopefully, and hopefully get better at it.
Yeah, and like kind of building off that, like you're at the office all day, you're working as a doctor, looking at seeing patients, trying to like emotionally relate to them, draining your social battery, and you come home, you might have a family, a wife and kids, and you don't want to like go home and sit on the couch and just start watching TV, you know, like you want to spend time with them because you know that's what's important, right? So it goes back to like, you know, minimizing the like amount of personal time you have to have, but I agree that sometimes it's very important to like, you know, chillax, you know, by yourself. Yeah, like.
But I will say this though, like when you push
Chill.
yourself and like, okay, I'm gonna get out of bed, I'm just gonna go hang out with like a couple of friends. A lot of the time it's worth it because like you're like,
oh yeah,
I haven't done this in so long.
Yeah,
I
mean,
it's always worth it. I think.
I don't know. Are you guys extroverted?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I feel like I'm in the middle.
Really. I'm
I
not
feel like I'm
really.
in the middle.
So when I hear like I definitely like, I can see you how you would feel that way, but I'm just like I'm
How
so
can you feel in the
tired.
middle? I feel like you're really extroverted.
You know what
I
we
don't know.
should
I
do
feel like-
sometime? We should take that
Take the
16
test.
personalities
Yeah.
test.
No, the thing is, like, I feel like when I'm around people I know, like, I'm totally
Yeah.
extroverted. But when I'm put in a brand new like environment where I don't know anyone,
Yeah.
it's hard for me to be the first person to like approach someone.
But that's everybody,
Yeah.
and I think you
Really?
know, generally speaking, and I don't believe that, by the way, for 1 second.
Yeah, I don't even believe it either.
but everybody kind of has those like feelings of uncomfort around people that they don't know. But it just like takes that little bit of extroversion to just like speak up for the first time. And I think you do that perfectly.
No, like
fine,
I mean,
Mo.
yeah, I feel like we can all do that, but I feel like
Yeah.
for me, it's just like I don't know. I really value my time when I'm just at home like decompressing. Like I feel like a lot of times, every single time like I get back into my apartment, I'm always like, oh, all right, I need to take a few minutes to just decompress and just be by myself for a little while. But then again,
drug.
like
It's a
everyone's different. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, for sure, I totally get what you're saying. But yeah, so that's like one big thing. I mean, having to miss out on those sort of things. But I don't know, even then, missing out versus, you know, doing the things that you want to do, there's sort of a gray line. It's not super specific. But we talked about it a little bit before, and we'll talk about it again right now, I guess. But it's like the idea of like also not only missing out with friends, but like on like talking to your family, I guess. For me, I guess we have it good because we're all of us, or all three of us, aren't too far away from home. It's not like we're living across the country. But for me, one of the reasons why I came to Chapman was so that I could be like close to home, so that way I could, you know, go home and like help out with my parents or just talk to them or be around them. Because I know they do appreciate it, and I enjoy it too. I like to, you know, be able to talk to them, and stuff. But basically, it's like, well, I haven't really had as much time to do that nowadays, especially with how busy this year has been. I accidentally turned off my mic. Especially with how busy this year has been. It's like there haven't really been a ton of times where I've been able to like just go home and talk to them like I used to. And in a way, that's sort of something too that's like dang, you know, this kind of sucks. But like,
Yeah.
while in the end it is okay, it's like in the moment it's just like, dang.
No, I totally feel that. Like my mom, yesterday night, literally woke up like at 1 a.m. I was like, I haven't seen you in like 2 days.
Yeah.
And like we literally live in the same
Yeah.
house, which is like crazy. So yeah, totally
Yeah.
feel that.
I love going home and seeing my parents, and I know my mom's probably listening to this, so hi mom. But
Hi, Nathan's mom.
yeah, and my parents are home alone in the house now. Emma's gone, so I do like try to make the effort every other weekend or so to go home. And well, I usually have to go home for church because I volunteer at my church back in Riverside.
That's good. That's funny.
Yeah, but I still do go home
The
a lot.
ad-libs.
Yeah. No, I do. Yeah, I do too. I was home last night for a little bit, but it's just I don't know, not the same.
It sounds very sad, right? But
sounds
the thing
sad.
is, when like we do go out for like that like Friday lunch or that Friday dinner or go out with our parents and see our parents, I think it makes it so much more of a moment and a memory though. Like for example, like I remember the last time we went to sushi. I remember that like perfectly. But if we're doing that every single time, I wouldn't be able to remember every like moment distinctly. And I think that's like another thing to it is like you start appreciating things a lot more than you used to, which is I guess a pro to it because you're like, oh, I'm probably not gonna be able to do this again for another 2-3 weeks. So like I really need to make the most out of this like 2 hours I'm hanging out with my friends. And I feel like that also makes it more of like a connection and you get to know people a lot better because like you're also engaged. You're no longer on your phone the entire time, but you're also talking. You're trying to like catch up on what like people are doing. I know like when I hung out with my friends from high school, I think a week or two ago, like that was probably the most I've ever talked to them during one sitting. Like we sat there for like 2 hours and like we were literally at a sushi place for 2 hours just eating and just chatting it up. Typically you go out 45 minutes, you're out, like, okay, everyone have a good day. But there, like, we were all just like laughing, like catching up on things.
Oh, that's cool.
So I think that's like pretty cool.
Yeah, it makes the moments memorable.
For me, yeah, definitely I agree. I mean, it's like I think that's something I've definitely grown to learn, especially being away from home, like living away from home. It's like the moments that you are able to spend with your parents, they become so much more valuable. It's like when you have less time around them, it's around like anyone really. The time that you do spend with them, it makes it just more meaningful, like more valuable.
And kind of similar to what you're saying, like I don't really think about like going on my phone, going into the room, into my room when I go home to visit. If it's like less than a day, I'm out in the living room, whether I'm watching TV with my parents or like talking to them about whatever's happening. I'm engaged, so I think it's
You're engaged.
I'm engaged in the conversation.
We're never invited to
that. You know who's engaged though? I never see drama, like celebrity drama, but I saw this that Millie Bobby Brown is engaged. Like,
isn't she like younger?
She's like 18. Yeah, it was.
Congrats.
I know, it was really. Abby's probably like shocked that I know this information right now.
I'm not.
I never know anything.
This is like 100% something Nathan.
Yeah. Okay.
He's so invested in this type of stuff.
It just popped up on Instagram.
But I think we've talked a lot about how like there is a lot of sacrifices that you need to take, right? And usually it's for studying. It's like kind of to maintain your kind of like your grades and whatever you're doing, right? But I feel like at least for me, that's kind of made those activities and kind of like studying a lot more stressful. Have you guys seen that at all?
I mean, I just feel like overall, I'd even classify it into one of like the sacrifices is just the sacrifice of like stress and sleep. It's just like, I'm not sacrificing stress. I'm sacrificing my sanity by being more stressed all the time. But basically, I just feel like as pre-meds, we undergo a lot of stress, more probably than, we would if we weren't pre-med. And I just know. I don't know.
Totally. I mean, like just taking the computer science classes I'm taking right now, it's like, wow. Like I see all these like comp sci majors, right? And they're just living it. Like they're like, yeah, we all hang out like after class.
No way.
And, like,
yeah.
It's the same with the leadership. Like there's so many business majors and Dodge College majors that are just like, chilling.
Because like a lot of those like assignments and things that you're doing don't require you to study that much. It's a lot of just like working on projects and things like that, and that's how you build those skills. Because like think about it, you're literally building like a program, building algorithms, things like that. You can't just read about it and like be like, oh, I know it, like I memorized it. No, like you need to like practice practice it. You need to practice those skills. It's like communication. You're literally communicating through like a keyboard. So I think that's like a cool aspect of computer science. And they obviously like, it's very like, it's almost like, oh, you want this $1 million, or do you want to like work like super hard, right, and kind of gain more than a like monetary value to something, which I think is what medicine is. It's not. It's like you're getting all this knowledge, which is what makes it beautiful in a way, and worth it.
Yeah, I mean, just thinking about that, like talking about other majors, I guess specifically comp sci business. I feel like there's more emphasis on, you know, like your skills, like what can you do,
Technical skill.
yeah, or, even practical skill too. It's like a lot of times I think for comp sci people, they have like coding interviews where they actually have to do like a skill, to the point where it just matters more of what you can do instead of like, you know, maybe did you get an A in every single class
totally,
that you took.
100%.
Yeah.
So there's just different emphasis on things, I think.
Especially with like internships that they do and things like that. A lot of it is literally you go to the interview, they're like, all right, here's a whiteboard, start writing something that does this.
Yeah.
And then you just do it. And the thing is, the biggest thing about it is not actually doing it either. It's actually being able to communicate why you're doing certain things instead of other things.
Mm-hmm.
So
In my leadership class, we talked about like different skills that you might need as a leader. There's 3 main categories: technical, humanitarian, and conceptual. Technical is just like practical stuff that you know, like what a comp sci major might do, like on a computer. They have a large technical skill, but a higher up leader might need more conceptual, like thinking about the business as a whole, or humanitarian skills, right? Communicating with people. And I think that's like some of the things we get as pre-meds. And surprisingly enough, I was like we did a test. I was ranked like highest on technical skill and
always
lower on the other 2.
Nathan's always the best.
No, not out of the class. Out of the 3 categories.
He's like, in the world, not just the class.
No.
Just kidding.
Nathan's giving up.
No, out of the 3 categories that I tested myself on, my highest score was technical skill, and I was lower on the other 2. And I was like, wow, that's kind of surprising to me. So I need to like work on building those skills up, like thinking about like communication, big picture stuff, organization, all that stuff. So
one thing that I did want to talk about is this idea that I've kind of thought about recently, or I've been like kind of feeling, is this idea that when you're first kind of like that, I guess, honeymoon phase of pre-med, when you're like, oh, I'm pre-med, I'm going to do so many great things. I'm going to save people. I'm going to be a doctor. Like, you have all these thoughts. But then as you kind of go forward, and I think especially in the state that we are in now, with our, like, I guess, pre-med careers, is that it's like those hopes in a way turn into expectations. That's something that I've kind of felt where it's like, okay, I'm expecting myself to be able to, you know, get good grades, work like 12 hours a week, like do volunteering, do research, like all in the same week, and I'm expecting myself to. It
becomes part of your life.
Yeah,
and it's not exactly like how it used to be, where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go for this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do all these great things. It's like now I'm doing it, and I'm expecting myself to meet the standard of quality, and it's just not like the same sort of like oh man, it's so cool type of feeling anymore.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Do you guys feel that? Have you ever
It's
that?
like I hope that I'm gonna be able to do this stuff, like versus I am doing it and I'm succeeding, and next week I'm gonna do the exact same thing.
Kind of. It's more like
similar,
I'd say like you have like all these aspirations. Like it's kind of like an innocentness where like you have these aspirations. You kind of like, you know,
everything is brand new to you.
Yeah.
Where like you don't know what you're getting yourself into, but then now a lot of the things that you're doing, it's like you already kind of have an idea of what it is. So it's not like as kind of like life changing in a way to you.
Like you don't really put it on a pedestal anymore. You're like, oh, I'm gonna do this great thing. It's like, okay, now I'm doing it. Now I have to now this is just standard. You know, This is my life. This is standard. I gotta keep doing this to this standard of quality, and you just gotta keep it up. And that's something that like, in a way, I feel like it. You know, I don't know. It's just a little different. Maybe it's just a different feeling, and it's maybe like just. I don't know.
It's still motivation. It's a different kind of motivation, right? It's the expectation rather than the aspiration, I guess.
And I think that's where, like, as someone on this type of journey where you're doing a lot of those different things and where you're kind of carrying on the same activities over, let's say, 4 years, right? Especially if you start your freshman year, is you need to change your mentality throughout those 4 years. You're no longer only trying to learn new things, but eventually once you do know those things, you need to start developing the skills of kind of learning how to better those things. Like I know a lot of the things that I do take on personally, one of my goals always is not only to learn how to become better at it, but also how to bring it up too. Because like when I'm done, for example, from Chapman, right, and I'm applying to med schools and things like that, a big club that I've been a part of and we've all been a part of is Tri Beta. Like I obviously want it to be better than how I found it. And I think that's like another thing that you do build as a pre-med is that like ability to see things and kind of like push yourself to make it better. And I think that's like really cool because it's a really satisfying feeling when you're able to leave something better than you found it. And same thing with a lot of the volunteer events that we've talked about is when you leave that room and there's a smile on the patient's face, that's a really good feeling because you've made their day a little bit better. Even if it's a tiny bit, it's still a little bit better. And that's what matters.
Yeah. And that kind of segues, I mean, into another thing where it's like, well, you know, yeah, maybe it sounds a little difficult or it sounds, difficult. But it's basically, it's like...
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of work. But, you know, it's worth it. Like, you know, it's worth it most of the time at least.
Yeah.
And I guess one thing that would be good to talk about is the fact that, you know, we're real people too. You know, we deal with probably, I mean, I don't know. We don't really talk about our issues, guys. But basically, but like
we have a therapy session.
But, yeah, but we, you know, we face certain struggles. We have, you know, we're not perfect. We don't have like these like stone mentalities, and we're not, you know, we are subjected to stress. We worry about things that are probably dumb and probably things that we don't have to worry about, but we do them. Especially me. I guess I'll speak about myself. I won't speak for you guys, but I will say for me, I do those things. But it's not, you know, we're people too, and you're not alone no matter like what kind of, you know, struggle you might be facing. You know, we're people too.
I feel like there's a stereotype where like pre-meds go home and like straight to the books. They're like they don't procrastinate, like like everything gets done super perfectly. But I think it's somewhat in a way a little bit like the opposite because like I think you become good at like coming back in a way because like you're constantly like working on these goals, right? And it gets overwhelming at certain points. But then I totally lost what I was going to say. It was a very good thing. But I think what I was going towards is that like you do procrastinate. You do kind of like struggle with time management. You do struggle with like getting that assignment in on time and things like that. But a lot of that comes from like what we talked about, like time management and things like that. Like really learning who you are and kind of just
like how you know to manage your own time. Yeah,
exactly. Which we talked about last week. So
on episode,
if you're listening,
that was a good episode. I think you guys should definitely go check that out.
So you need to pause this episode right now, go listen to the last week's episode, and then you can come back and listen to the rest of this.
You don't have to do that. You can finish this one first.
But basically, I mean, we're people too.
We get lazy.
Yeah, we get distracted on TikTok. We fall down TikTok rabbit holes, right?
TikTok for an hour yesterday.
Really?
I was like, what is that? You know what I noticed? They take out the time. There's no more time in the top corner.
I feel like I thought it's always been like that.
Dude, I'm not on TikTok. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're not?
No, I don't go on TikTok.
There's no time anymore.
Nathan does the harder thing. He does YouTube.
How is that harder?
Because it takes more time, I feel like.
I guess
YouTube,
so.
It's like a 10-minute video. TikTok, it's like, well, I mean, TikTok is 15 seconds times like 20.
But you're on there for the same amount of time because you just keep going.
Yeah. You gain so much more like different topics.
Right.
Yeah.
I prefer YouTube.
Trying to justify it.
But yeah, we're not perfect. You know, I found out. Okay, so yesterday I was reading the biochem book, and
I hate that book.
what I realized, dude, you can't talk trash about Leninger. You can't, because it's literally like the most popular biochem book or something.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like I was my dad used the same book, and then like all the like older people I've talked to who like I show them the book and they're like, oh, I know that one, and I'm like, yeah, it seems like everyone. So I don't know.
We all went through the same thing.
It's popular.
But even our teacher doesn't like it.
Yeah, well, anyways, but basically it's like...
What were we saying? Stress, right?
No, that was 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
But you know, so I was reading the biochem book, and basically I realized that what I would do is I would read like a sentence, and then I read a sentence over and over and over again, and I was like, why am I not getting we're getting this? Like, it's not like a hard sentence. Something's happening. And I realized yesterday that it's because I just get distracted and I start thinking about something else while I'm reading the same sentence over and over again.
I do that too.
It's so annoying.
Exact same thing.
It makes me take so much longer to read, and it's just
no. With that, like what I've started doing, and I've been doing this a lot, just because of how distracted I get with that dense book, is I'll literally just step out of my room for like 20 minutes, go eat something, and come back. It's creating bad eating habits, but oh well. It's worth the bueno bars.
No, I get so lazy as well. I'm like really bad with procrastination. This semester I've been doing better, but like, wow, I procrastinate on my sociology essays till the very last hour. They're due 11:59 on Sunday. I'm writing it at 11 o'clock on Sunday. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, I've done, generally speaking, better. The stuff that I know I can crank out really fast, like, sometimes I save till, like, the very last minute. But, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm bad about it, too. So we all are. I think that's just a human thing.
Yeah.
Not
so,
a pre-med thing.
Yeah. I mean, while we've talked about quite a range of different things, I think it's really worth it to talk about, and we mentioned it a little earlier, is the idea of, you know, what's something that we look forward to that's going to, you know, make us, you know, or that would make us be like, you know what, this is all worth it. All the stress, all the not being able to see your friends, you know, what's sort of an experience that we look forward to that will be like, this is worth it.
I've kind of had already an experience with this, but I think long term where you're changing someone's life for the better, right? You're gonna look back and like a human life, to me at least, has like no value. Like it's priceless, right? It's.
I thought it literally sounded like you almost said like no value. And
no,
I was
but
like,
I was gonna say no value in like the sense of like. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Just to clarify.
Yeah.
Good.
But like, it's just like you've worked so hard, like let's say 12 years, whatever it is, right? But you being able to help someone in such a drastic like sense. Where you're literally changing the way they live their life for the better. I think that's what makes it so worth it, because I know hopefully like 12 years from now when I'm actually practicing and doing my rounds, doing things like that, I'm going to be able to do that from all that work I've kind of like put into it. Like, yeah, there's a lot of work, but I think it's just long term, that gratification is going to be so worth it.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
It's that aspirational motivation we were talking about, and it goes back to something you were saying earlier, where you really want to, like, in everything you're involved in, you want to leave it better than you had left it. And I think that's like a motivation that we all share. I'm doing it for like the chess club and Chem Lab SI and all sorts of different things. So it's something that I look forward to is leaving things better than I found it, and it gives me the motivation to keep going.
Yeah, I think for me, I would definitely say, you know, is this the idea of having the knowledge, having sort of like that whole structure and that backbone to be able to, you know, to take care of someone, you know, whether it be like a patient or whether it be someone like in your family who needs to be taken care of. It's like having that knowledge, having that skill, I feel like is priceless. And I feel like that is what's going to make everything worth it. Is, you know, in a time of need, you know, the fact that you're going to be there, the fact that I'll be there. And I think that that's what will make everything worth it.
No, yeah. Like when my grandma was going through like her cancer treatment, like we had a really close family friend who like we were constantly like in contact with, who was like helping us with like different things. And just like, I'm sure, like I shadow him sometimes, and like I talk to him about it, and you could tell like he genuinely like enjoyed being like at service to like our family, where he was able to explain things that we might not really understand. And if I could just do that for my family in the future, I think that would just be amazing too.
Oh,
totally.
Wow. Yeah, that's something that I haven't even thought of, like the ability to like take care of your family. Well, I've thought of it, but it's something that doesn't cross my mind as often as it probably should. Is like, I'll be the only doctor in my family, you know, and that's just something that could definitely be a good motivator. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, you can go. All right. Basically,
he doesn't go.
It's just, yeah, it's like no matter if I did anything else with my life, I wouldn't have that same sort of, you know, skill or the knowledge to do stuff like that. Like one thing I appreciate is that a lot of like sort of like oral health that I feel like I've really been able to get like benefits of my dad, being like a dentist, because, like if I have a canker sore or something, he's able to like tell me.
Sore? What is that?
It's basically like when you bite your lip. Like you bite your lip and it kind of like
my
a
mom
sore.
tells me to put ashes on it.
What?
I don't do that.
That's the thing, and it works, dude.
What?
It literally works.
Wow.
But
Okay.
yeah, but basically like he has things that he tells me to do, and I do the things and it helps, and I feel like that makes my life better, because I like eating a lot and I don't like canker sores. So it's like, I don't know, just small
Don't
things
they
like
only
that.
come from like sugar though?
I don't know.
No?
I get it
Or
when
maybe
it's
just
like it's some sort of, I don't think they know specifically.
it's just
but
like a buildup of sugar is what I thought it was. I don't know.
I don't know for sure what causes them, because I've Googled it, because I get them and I don't like them. But basically it's like, I think somewhat like infection, because you have like a lot of stuff in your mouth. I don't know, whatever. Anyways, I'm just glad that like I have, if stuff like that happens to me, I'm like able to, ask my dad, be like, how can I, make this better? And then it's better. And I feel like,
Knowing that yourself.
yeah, knowing these types of things myself is going to be something that's priceless, not only for, myself and the people I care about, but also for, everyone that I might encounter in my life.
Very cool. Yeah, I agree.
I think in general, I think a good like way to wrap up the episode is to kind of like touch up on everything we just talked about. Like, yes, it is a very stressful like journey that we are taking, and at times it feels like the worst thing ever. But I think the way you have to approach this journey is really look at it long term and just think about what it will provide you with. And sometimes it's I think important to reflect on the things that it's allowed you to do as a 19, 20, 21-year-old. Like, I remember when I first got into the OR, I was like, wow, I'm this like 19-year-old who's watching a surgery right next to like an open patient, Not anyone can do that. And I think just the privileges it allows you to kind of like acquire is just kind of really unmatched in a way, at least in my personal opinion and my likings. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, we are all human. We are all going to make similar mistakes, like procrastinate and turn in our sociology assignment
An hour before
it's due. But yeah, I mean, we're still humans. We like to surf. We like to play chess. We like to play League of Legends.
I don't play League of Legends anymore. Like, I literally haven't played in like over a year.
No, but yeah, and being a pre-med is just a career choice that we want to do. It's not who we are, and that's it. We have a lot more to us, and sometimes it can feel like a little bit isolating, but it is a sacrifices we sometimes have to make, but it does bring a lot of more joy to the experiences we do kind of like take part in.
Great summary. And I think the most pre-med thing to say getting out of that is that I'm not just a pre-med. There's more to me than that. So I would say that's the most pre-med thing to say if we want to wrap it up with that.
Fair enough. Take us out.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, we put episodes out every Tuesday at 8 a.m. and make sure to follow us on social media, TikTok at Theory Premed, on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Music. Make sure to give us a follow. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you.
Adios.
Bye.